Hi everyone, Xavier here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to check out more of the 4K collection, going from L to N this time. No introduction to say. I tried to record this earlier and then I got interrupted, so have to start over. So if I'm going to skip over a few things, that's why. But let's just get started. First off, we got a classic, in my opinion, underrated film for sure. Last Action Hero. Not a good cover for this movie. They should use the poster for it. But this is a great movie. If you don't know, it's a Schwarzenegger film, meta commentary type of film where you got this kid going to an Arnold movie. It's trying to be a PG-13, family-friendly Arnold film with some edge. And I think, some things worked, some things didn't. It was directed by the guy who did Die Hard, and the action's not amazing in this movie, but I don't think that's the point. It's not really meant to be an action movie, it's more of a comedy. And yeah, this is, I think it's a great movie. I think it's a very fun, creative movie. Ambitious for the time it was coming out and for the status of Arnold's, stardom. But honestly, they should try to do a reboot with this. Maybe get Dwayne Johnson or just a big, superhero star and make fun of superhero movies. I don't know. They should do something like that because this is just ripe full of ideas that they couldn't fully deliver, due to the limitations of the filmmaking at the time. But I think they could do a lot with this idea if they do a reboot. But in general, if they never do, really, really, really good movie. Check it out. Next up is The Legend of Tarzan. If you don't know about this movie, I don't think you'll be alone. A lot of people probably forgot about this movie existing. It starred Alexander Skarsgård, Margot Robbie, Samuel Jackson, and Christoph Waltz. And it's basically, it's like you take the Tarzan, mythos, you basically skip the period of him going to the human civilization. He's married to Jane. He goes back to Africa, and then Jane gets kidnapped by Christoph Waltz's character. So Tarzan and Samuel Jackson have to go and save the day. It is a strange movie. And it's weird because it did well. It actually did decently well. It just came out in 2016, the summer 2016. Very crowded market, and it just kind of fell to obscurity. I think people completely forgot this movie existed. With that said, though, I think it's pretty decent. You got some good action, you got some good humor. The actors are, doing the best they are doing. They can, and considering the fact you got a really talented cast, that's great. The practical effects, now, because the film is not filmed in Africa or even a jungle like Hawaii. It's a set in London, and it's kind of fantastic that, you could say, want to shoot on location, but considering the fact that a lot of films use green screen and just cheap it out with CGI, the fact that they built a, fake jungle for the actors to go around in, and it looks real and believable, that's great in my opinion. And it has issues. Some of the CGI is not the best. People complain about the CGI of the gorillas and the monkeys, but I don't think they're bad. It's just that they're not amazing. And it's a bit on the generic side. I do like the idea, though, of having real-life people like Christoph Waltz and Samuel Jackson's character being in the setting and in the time that it did. Obviously, doing some fictional stuff like the events of this movie, but it was kind of a novel idea. Overall, I actually think this is a okay movie, a fun movie to put on the background. Check out the action and see some of the fun stuff. Not super amazing though. Obviously, if you're going for action, there's better movies out there, but that wasn't bad. Surprisingly, I got a 4K to begin with. Up next is Lego Batman movie. Not much to say about this one. I think, in general, I think everyone has seen this movie and knows why it's great on par with the original Lego movie. It's, and that's why I think it's on par. I think it's even better actually. Not every joke works, a bit juvenile at times, but it was fun. I liked what they did with the story and, the creativity of the movie. And the animation's great, of course. There's not much to say. I think everyone agrees with the Lego Batman movie. Up next is Life of Pi. I remember seeing this in the theaters. Fantastic movie-going experience. I read the book. I think it's a great story. Ang Lee did a great job with this. I would say they could have cut a bit of, stuff in the beginning out. Why does Pi have a girlfriend in the beginning? Kind of pointless at the end. He didn't have one in the book. It just kind of dragged out the story. I don't know. It just kind of felt a bit weird. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good adaptation. Um, Next up, we have The Little Mermaid, the classic hand-drawn film on 4K. Not a huge upgrade, mind you, but you can tell there's a bit more detail in the animation. I was never super in love with the movie as a kid. Over time, it just kind of grew on me. I think it's just the music and the animation the characters really grew in. I don't like the love story, mind you, but I do enjoy a lot of the elements here than most Disney films at the time. Like, I prefer this than Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, in my opinion. Even though some people would disagree, they would put those higher. And also, that's also why I have those two, like the two movie pack of the sequels. Like I like this that universe. I haven't watched the remake. I don't really care to. It just doesn't seem like they're going to fix anything from the original. Even from what I've heard, Prince Eric wasn't really fixed much to begin with, and they made worse mistakes in that one. Next up, Logan. This one does not have Logan Noir for some reason, the black and white cut. It would be cool to see, but I'm not going to try to find a version right now. Like I got on 4K. That's all. That's good enough for me. Great movie. There's like probably the best superhero film out there, in my opinion. There's really not much to say. I don't know what they're going to do with Deadpool 3 with Wolverine, but hopefully Logan feels like the definitive conclusion. Up next is Luca, the Pixar movie that went on to Disney Plus instead of theaters. I think it was good. I actually think it's great. Actually, it's probably like it's definitely on my more higher up in my list for Pixar films. There's not much to really say that's wrong with it. Like I like the animation, I like the characters, I like the themes. It's a slower story for sure. It's more of a relaxed movie, not a big grand adventure. That's the point. I remember there was a stupid criticism Chris Stuckman made about why he didn't like the movie. Like, why did the sea creatures? How couldn't they go on land as humans? Like he tried to say why the movie does not explain the biology of the sea creatures. Yeah, Chris Stuckman said that. Thank God he doesn't do critique movies anymore, because otherwise he would probably be blacklisted on YouTube for saying stupid stuff like that. All right, here comes a special one. This is Malcom X on 4K. Directed by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington. The Criterion Collection in general, fantastic packaging all around. I was always going to try to grab the Blu-ray before they announced this. I never got the Blu-ray because when they announced it, I was like, I'm going to grab this on 4K. I'm trying to find the opening here. Where's the opening? Where's the opening? Oh my God. There we go. There's the opening. Yeah, but look, if you haven't seen Malcolm X, it's a biopic of the titular activist. Denzel Washington did a fantastic job with this movie. He should have won the Academy Award for Best Acting during that Oscar season. Spike Lee also should get he didn't get much recognition for this movie either. Do the Right Thing, Black Klansman. He makes great movies. I think this is his best one. This is one of the best biopics I've ever seen. And yes, it's a bit long in areas, but Malcolm X is a fascinating person to begin with, and Denzel Washington is just a charismatic actor. You can't go wrong with this movie. I am glad Criterion got this movie to be on 4K, because I thought we would not have seen a 4K version of this for years. But props to Criterion. All right, halfway done. Let's get a sip of water. Again, if I'm being a bit fast on this, I tried to do an earlier recording. I got to Malcolm X and I had to stop the video because I got calls. But that's how, that's just how it is. All right. Next up, we got Malignant. If you don't know this one, this is a James Wan. Some people don't classify as horror. I'll say it's a horror movie. It's James Wan. This is an import from the U.S. This is not in Canada. You can't get this in Canada. You can only get the Blu-ray for this for Canada. But the 4K, I got it imported from a store. and it was a pretty good deal. And thank God, because I think this movie is really good. I like this movie. It was a polarizing film when it came out. Some people didn't like the tone. It was more campy than serious, which a lot of audiences do not like. If they're going to go for a campy movie, they need to be told it's a campy movie. If it's a serious movie, they have to be told they're serious. You can't lie with the marketing, and that was the issue. It tried to play off as a more serious movie, but it's a really more fun, campy movie, which is why I really like this movie. It's fun. It's gory. The villain's interesting. The James Wan as a director is just great. Like, it's like, he did this between the Aquaman movies, and it's like you can tell like he is a star director. Like I'm curious to see what his new movie is after Aquaman 2. Next up, we got Man of Steel. Not much to say about this one. I like this. I think this is one of the best DC films. So yes, I am on that camp. There are the people who do not like this movie, and I get that, but I also think, you're a bit too negative on the subject matter and not giving the film a bigger chance than it is. Snyder did a good job. Nolan and Goyer did I know what they're trying to go for. Could it have been lightened up a bit? Maybe, but like I think it's just a great Superman story. Great action, great direction, some powerful moments, and fantastic score. There's not much to say. I think everyone who knows, who watches the DCU know that Man of Steel is probably the best film they've made, aside from maybe Justice League. Up next is The Mask of Zorro, classic movie. Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins. This is just a fun movie. Like, it's like I can rewatch it like a lot, and I can't really get bored of it. There is a 4K steelbook with digital code that I could have got, but honestly, like, there's no point. Like, I'll just keep it as is. And it's a great movie. Like, I think you should check it out. It's fun. It's fun. It's got some action. It's got some drama. I mean, not emotional drama, but it's that type of movie. It's a fun swashbuckling adventure, which is nice because this is pre-Pirates of the Caribbean. I think during the 90s, studios did not want to take risks with those type of movies, and I'm kind of sad they never did another Zorro movie after the second film, which I don't have the second film because it is not released in Canada as 4K, and there is an import, but it's expensive, and I don't want to get that, especially for the second movie, which is not that good. It's okay, but not that good. Up next is Misery. Fantastic movie. Keanu Lober, not much to say about them. And, what's her name? Kathy Bates. Oh, yeah. Kathy Bates deserved that win for the Oscars. Misery. James Cain is also great in this movie. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite Stephen King movies. I think that, as well as the prison movies, Green Mile and Shawshank, are probably the best Stephen King adaptations in my opinion. Which, some people say otherwise, it's all Shining. But, like, these movies, these stories, I love them. But yeah, not much to say about Misery. I think everyone can agree. Fantastic movie. Up next is Monsters, Inc. Classic. Watched this a lot as a kid. No real issues in my opinion. I don't know what to say. I think everyone has seen Monsters, Inc. I think everyone agrees it's a classic. There's no real issues, I think, that has aged, like, at all. Like, it's a pretty good movie. Like, it's fun, it's sweet, the score's great. The animation kind of holds up to an extent. Like, not everything aged the best, but for 2001, it's still solid. All right. Before I show off this one, this is the best movie I got in the collection, hands down. I don't know what to tell you guys, but like, I am so glad I got this on 4K, and you just have to see it to believe it. It's Morbid time. When I got this from Best Buy and I took the train ride home. I think someone actually laughed when they saw that I got this in 4K. Also, the fact there's no look at this description, by the way. Because usually you got like a big thick paragraph. That is the shortest description of a movie I've ever seen. But in general, I don't think Morbius is the worst film I've ever seen in my life. I think people overreact to this movie. I was really excited for it when it came out because the trailers did a good job of hyping up the movie. Obviously, when the film came out, it was a disappointing movie. And, it's memeable and the whole Spider-Man universe thing is weird. But other than that, if you remove all that stuff, I think it's okay. I think Jared Leto is actually a pretty solid choice to be Morbius because I know the character from the comics and shows. Matt Smith is fun in the movie. I think the directing's fine. There's a few decent action moments, but the issue of course is just the fact that they could have it needed blood, yeah, for sure. The lack of Spider-Man stuff is really annoying, especially when they market the Vulture in the movie, and yet he only shows up in a post-credits scene, and it doesn't make sense. I think Across the Spider-Verse did sort of add in an answer as to how that could happen. But even then, still, there's a reason why it's this giant meme. I am curious to see if Sony will continue this character, though, because technically the film did okay. It did, I think it got, since it has this reputation, and it wasn't a huge bomb. It probably lost a little money for Sony, but it probably gained a little bit of money, after the fact. And I think because of the big meme of the character, I'm curious to see if they ever bring this character over again, especially with Jared Leto attached. I'm curious. But yeah, it's Morbin time. I can't wait for Morbius 2 if it ever comes out. Next up, Mulan. I'm trying to think. This is probably one of the last few hand-drawn animated films that Disney has put out for 4K. Oh no, I'm silly. I forgot. This year, last year alone, we got Snow White and Cinderella. So, no, but for a while this was. Obviously to tie in with the Mulan remake that came out. Pretty solid 4K of this movie. I think Mulan's a pretty good movie overall. I don't think it's one of my favorites, but I do think it's a very fun, charming movie. Got some nice characters, action. Some of the songs are decent, cool. I mean, some people make things the songs are cool, but I think they're good, obviously. This is a Disney classic, and I miss the older Disney films. Of course, the newer films are, I have some of them, but you'll see when I get there. Here comes a very underrated film. A lot of people didn't like it though. The New Mutants. Based on the Marvel comics, which this movie, and this action film movie, I hate how even the home releases lie about the movie. It's obviously not an action movie. It's not a traditional superhero movie. It's when the trailers try to make this a horror movie, it wasn't really. It was a teenage drama with some supernatural thriller elements. And I understand. I don't want to get into the production trouble with this movie. That production nightmare of the reshoots and what the initial film was going to be in the trilogy. This is not a video about that. The final product is a shame because honestly, this should have just been rebooted into the MCU just to have better continuity. Because now Marvel's just trying to make it seem that the mutants always existed when this movie could have served as a perfect example of just having the mutants show up, and the characters are young. They could have fit in this in the Marvel world, but it's no, we don't want anything to do with Fox, which is stupid. And now in the movie, in this entire franchise got left in the dust. The trilogy that would have had some interesting ideas dropped, and the movie itself got painted as a bad thing when it wasn't that bad. Could it have been more of a horror movie? Sure, but I do like the characters. Some people were a bit mad with some of the casting, some of the portrayals, but I don't care for that stuff. People like to make fun about the demon bear, but that's from the comics. It's funny, when we have to make fun of it from the comics, but when people don't adapt the comics, we don't like it. And I think there's some good stuff in here. I feel that Josh Boone really got a bad hand when it came to this entire movie. Um, in general, it's on Disney Plus, so you can check it out. I think it's a pretty decent movie, like pretty solid. Um, it's a slow burner for sure, but it is definitely a very unique superhero movie. And that's the thing. I kind of like when superhero films actually try to break out the genre and try to do something a little different. However, when they always do try to do something different, that's when people don't care. Oh, by the way, this movie also first like lesbian or gay romance storyline in like a Marvel movie. I think maybe some Marvel shows have done it, but in terms of like a major like romance, this is it. And if Marvel or Disney tries to gaslight people into saying otherwise in the future, try to correct them. Yeah, I'm running out of breath. Like, thank God I got my water. Wow. All right, almost done. Nightmare Before Christmas. Not much to say. I think everyone has seen it by now. Classic movie. On 4K, it looks great. Like the stop motion is fantastic, and it's simple. There's not much to it. There's no big themes or whatever, but I think that's kind of the charm of it. The characters, the songs, like yeah, like it's that type of movie, where if you want to try hard and find issues with it, you can. But it's also like, why would you? It's a charming movie. Yeah, not much to say about that movie. Honestly, I think everyone has watched the movie. And lastly, we got Nobody. Came out early 2021, so it did actually quite well, because in fact it was still pandemic time. And I'm not sure if we're going to get a sequel to this, but if you haven't seen the movie, it's like Bob Odenkirk. It's an action. I would say, yeah, it is an action movie. There's a little bit of comedy, considering the fact it is Bob Odenkirk, as this dude, this action guy, which you don't think of Better Call Saul as an action guy, but this is a pretty good, like the stunts and Odenkirk's commitment to the whole movie, fantastic. It's a bit on the generic side, however. Obviously, if you have watched the Equalizer films or John Wick, stuff like that, it becomes formulaic. The movie itself is sort of aware of this, though, which is why it tends to be on more the comedic side. But the action's also fantastic. Christopher Lloyd is also in it, very great for his limited role in there. And yeah, like there's not much to really go into depth with this movie. Fun action movie, definitely a bit cliched in areas, but I also think it's good. And with that, that wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to the next installment. I will have to say though, I am thinking after I finish going through every title, I will try to see if I can work a stream to try to calculate all the movies to try to because that way everyone can see how much the movies are individually priced. Because I was thinking of just skipping to the result, but I also feel like maybe people would want to know how much was this, how much did this movie cost, and so on. I have to see what I can do with that. If I can find a way to make a stream work. If a stream can't work, I'll just do the end result video. Regardless, thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time, and hope you have a nice day.